Hey guys, welcome back to Heart of the Matter podcast. Yes, yes. What you're thinking is true. Yes. This is episode 10. Okay. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm so excited to be here for episode 10. Oh my goodness. This has been this has been a great journey. So again, welcome back to Heart of the Matter podcast. I'm your host Sherry J. And as always, we're going to discuss the issues that matter most to your heart. If you're just joining on, or if you've never been a part of Heart of the Matter, we dedicate our topics to helping society out with discussing social epidemics, things like fatherlessness, blended families, and then the topics most recently that we've been talking about have been like marriage, divorce, accountability. These are all big epidemics, and they're plaguing um, our community, other communities, and just different places and this is the reason why we usually discuss these topics here. So, once again, I'm excited to be back for this episode. We have an exciting topic. And the topic, before I jump right into what the topic is a great topic because this is actually based upon society and what's going on in society as of right now. So, hold on one second. So, the reason why this topic came about is I was watching, what was this movie called? It was called Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton movie. I think that's what I was watching. But yeah, I was watching that movie, right? And it just sparked something in me because it was, of course, about the British and about England and all of that good stuff as far as how they wore the dresses, that just looks so pretty to me. But I noticed how when they did their marriages, basically they were set up, they were arranged. They didn't have where they dated for a certain amount of period and then they married off and things like that. They pretty much just, you know, their parents or whoever. It was like her brother in this movie, he gave his sister away and like, hey, okay, go ahead, you marry her and we get this. And they kind of like, made a deal and she became the wife of a king. So this is what kind of sparked this conversation in me because I thought it was interesting that although she was married to a man that she hadn't known, she was 17. And although it's like she just left her world to go get married, she persevered. And this actually, the king was like a madman. So he wasn't even in his right mind. He wasn't even stable. So I just thought that was a really, really good movie and to portray how our marriages today, you can choose whoever you want to marry, you can be with them however long, you can do whatever you want, but somehow the marriages, especially in the West, aren't lasting. They're not lasting any time really. Sometimes people get married a year and they're divorced the same year. So it really just had me thinking as to why marriages weren't lasting. And that's the reason why I came up with this topic. So the topic is, why aren't marriages lasting, and arranged marriages, are they an option? So if you're on, I like you to say hi, drop a comment, and just interact with the live today. So I'm gonna start with my spiel. So when I looked up to try to get some rates as far as marriages, right, to see exactly how long they are lasting, because I know we always hear that marriages aren't lasting as long as our grandfathers, our great grandmothers, they actually were in marriages way longer than what we are now in this society. So, according to the American Psychological Association, approximately 40 to 50% of people who are getting married are getting divorced. So, we have a 40 to 50% rate of divorces in the West, pretty much, United States, pretty much. And then if you are to get remarried, so say for instance, you get divorced and you get remarried, you had a higher chance to be divorced at 60 to 67%. And that is crazy, right? I mean, like, oh my God. I wouldn't think that you getting remarried would be so high, but and if you got married a third time, it's like 73% that you're going to get divorced. So the rate is just extremely high. But interestingly enough, during the pandemic, right, I looked this up, the divorce rates actually dropped 12%. So I know that may not mean a lot to you guys, but that's a large number. During the pandemic, divorce rates decreased. And I'm wondering, I would have thought, I don't know if you guys would have thought this, that they would have went up. I would have thought that divorce rates would have actually climbed because you're at home with your spouse. When a lot of times you're normally not at home with them. You're normally not, you know what I'm saying, even around them a lot because you're working. You both are working and pursuing your careers and things like that. But divorce actually dropped. So meaning, I guess us spending time together with one another probably was the reason why the divorce rate actually dropped. And that could be the reason why we have too many divorces nowadays because both are of us are working. We're both trying to, have our careers, and it's nothing wrong with that. But I think we just put the marriage on the back burner, and a lot of times that's the reason why a lot of marriages don't work. So I have a few reasons for divorce because again, it has climbed, and then also interestingly enough, not only are people not getting divorced, I'm sorry, are not only are people getting divorced, but they're also not marrying. So divorces are actually steadily they're kind of going down a little bit, but it's not because people are getting married and not getting divorced. It's because the people that aren't married or divorced are just not getting married. And so we have a larger group of people that are just like, nope, I'm good. I'm not getting married. I'm not gonna, even bother with it. And it's strange. So that group is actually growing. Divorces are actually coming down slightly, and then marriages, are kind of consistent as to where they were before, and not as much, but they're not lasting as long. So I did write down some reasons for why we have a lot divorces, why our marriages are not lasting as long as our grandparents. And if you don't believe this, right? Because I was thinking that my top reason for a divorce or my top reason for marriage is not lasting would be more so cheating or infidelity. I would think that would be the number one reason, but that actually wasn't the number one reason. The number one reason for reasons that for people to or marriages are not lasting and divorce was a lack of commitment. And it actually wasn't like I said, cheating. It was a lack of commitment and basically just both parties not being interested in committing to their duties as husband and wife. Right? Isn't that deep? That's really weird that was 75% of the divorces was due to just a lack of commitment. And it's crazy because you say you get married for a commitment. That's the whole point of or purpose of a marriage, you would think. But 75% our divorces are from lack of commitment. Then we have communication, of course. We know that's a really big one. Then we also have infidelity or cheating at 60%, 60% of a reason why the marriages are not lasting. We also have arguing or conflict. So conflict was at 58%, and then financial problems at 37%. So those were kind of some of the reasons for divorces and why they are why there's so many occurring at this time. So now I also wrote down who files first for divorce. Most people know this, and it's talked about all the time. Most of the time, 70% of the time, the women file for divorce. Wow, ain't that crazy? 70% of the time, the woman is filing for divorce. And my only assumption, well, I can actually not even say an assumption. I know why they're filing because I think, me as a woman, I've been divorced before, and I feel like the you just want to kind of be free and want to be like, you know what, I'm gonna start over and start fresh and start brand new. Whereas I think a man has more to lose when he says, I'm gonna start over. So I think with a woman, that's the reason why it's 70% of women who are filing for divorces. um, hey Eb, I think I see you said people don't like their mates. This is a big problem as well. Yeah, I agree. They don't like their mates, but you know what? It's like, how do you not like them no longer after you get married to them? You liked them before, in dating them and courting them. You liked them when you were going out, but when you get married, you no longer like the mate. Like that's kind of crazy to me. Eb, you said I believe that's because women are not being fulfilled. They are tired, so they are now leaving. I agree, that's what I said. I'm like, and women, it's just easier. We just like, "Forget it. Leave all of it. We'll start over." Remember Tina Turner? She like, "I don't care. I don't need nothing but my name." And it's like women are leaving more so because they're just like they tired. They wanna they feel like they can have a fresh start. I think it's easier for a woman to start over than it is a man. So I think most men don't file. And most men don't wanna handle the paperwork either doing that. I don't know. But um I just think that when I looked at the statistics for why marriages aren't lasting, because we're seeing a lot of people get married, but a lot of people don't stay married. And like if you go back to your grandparents, you notice they were married 50, 60, 70 years. And that's the only person they married. But nowadays, they said the average marriage is lasting 8 years. 8 years. After that, most people are getting divorced. And they say the 7 year itch. Y'all heard of that 7 year itch? I know I heard of that. They say around 7 years, you kind of get an itch to, I guess, want to move on or, you know, and so I guess they said it has some science to it. Eb, you said they didn't like them initially. So history, comfort, years is why people nowadays get married. So you're saying people nowadays are getting married because of history, comfort, in the years they're with somebody. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. That's actually true. I could see that. Cause you be comfortable. You like, we already been together. Let's just go ahead and get married. And you don't even talk about what it costs to be married. You don't even talk about like, okay, this is what we have to do in a marriage. This is your duty. This is my duty. This is our commitment that we're making about. We're just like, forget it. Let's just go ahead and do it. So yeah, I believe so. Most people aren't taking marriage as serious as they used to. And I think a part of that reason is because you can get out of marriage so easily. You have the option to divorce, where some countries don't have that option. Which that brings me to my next point about arranged marriages. Do you feel like Eb, would you have, I mean, I know it's kind of like late now to say that, but would arranged marriages be something you would look into for your children, your daughters, maybe? You know, do you think that's a good idea? Okay, Eb, you said that's why I don't get the marriage is just a paper. You okay, so you said you don't get the marriage is just a paper idea. You don't believe that marriage is just paper idea. You believe that it isn't just paper. So I agree if that's what you're saying. I think that's what you're saying. Um, but I thought more people would be on here for this topic. It's weird, but it's okay because we got to do this regardless. But um, I don't know if you said that's why I don't get the marriage is just paper idea. Oh, maybe you're saying, yeah, marriage is not just paper. You're saying marriage is not just paper, but it's actually a covenant. It's actually a promise that you're making. It's a commitment. Exactly. That's what it is. I know that's what you're saying. But I want to talk about arranged marriages. I know you're probably typing. And I noticed that when I looked into arranged marriages and that in India has like 90% arranged marriages. Like most countries in the West, like United States, we don't really do that. Some countries in, I believe, like South Africa, some places there do it. I don't know all of them, but I know for sure India was like the top country that did arranged marriages. And if you would guess how low their divorce rate is, it's crazy how low it is. It's only 1%. That's crazy, right? Like I couldn't believe it. I'm like, "Oh my god," and you would think that 2 people who don't really know each other, they haven't got a chance to mingle or do any of this, you would think those 2 people, you know what I'm saying, would fuss and fight and argue and fall out and wouldn't even make it. Um, but their divorce rate is only 1%. So that's why I thought about it, when I was watching the movie the other day, Charlotte, I was just like, "You know what? Maybe arranged marriages won't be so bad." Because then you can pick out, they go by caste system. So you can pick out who your daughter or son or whoever is going to marry. So they go by a system where the caste system is like, does this man have smarts, education? Does his family have money? Do they, are they well off? Is their religion? Is this the same thing as mine? Or, so that's pretty much how they do when they select for their children. They go off a caste system where they're looking at different things, different qualities, which I think is very good because you should want to look at different qualities of people because a lot of times most time we just get married, we don't even look at qualities of the person. We just like, okay, I like them. They make me feel fuzzy inside. Let's go ahead and get married. And that's, I think, the reason why it's another reason why we have so many divorces, because we're jumping into things that we're not really ready for. We haven't really even took the time to study and say, what is this commitment about? And we don't take it seriously enough. Like in India, divorce is taboo. So whether they're happy or not, they can't divorce. They know that for sure. And but that's just a seriousness of their relationship. They know that there's no divorce. But I did look at a few videos about people over India who has gotten arranged marriages, and they said that they actually love it. They said that they're good, they have a great marriage, and the thing is, what they said is they don't want to look to the West because the West has it easy where we can just get out of a marriage. So they try not to pattern themselves after the West, after us, United States and things, because we can just jump out and jump back in. But if they looked at that, right, they would want to do the same thing. So they did say that majority of the time, their marriage is fine, you know, and I think also, if you think about it, when you start a relationship with somebody, right? There's a honeymoon stage. So you're in a honeymoon stage, you're talking, and normally the honeymoon stage is like the best stage. The honeymoon stage is like the greatest stage. Everything's perfect, the guy is perfect, you love each other, and usually that's when you get married, in that stage. Not knowing, that's just the bubbly stage. That's not really the real stage, but that's the time when you normally get married. And it's nothing wrong with it, but I think at that time is when you need to have understanding that what marriage is. It's not just this bubbly, tingly, nice feeling, but it's also a commitment. It's not just, you know, oh, he makes me feel so good, but it's a commitment that you're making. And a lot of times, arranged marriages, they know what they're supposed to do. They know that, listen, when I go in this marriage, this is what I'm designed to do. My job is this. And the man knows my job is this. They already know their roles and positions. So Eb, you said, I think for this generation it will work. This would eliminate the 50-50 conversation. Okay, so you're talking about arranged marriages. Yes. You said arranged marriages typically are a system where generational wealth is the focus. Basically, the women wouldn't have to worry about finances, so they can focus on the commitment. Exactly. Ooh, that was good, Eb. Exactly. So now we see how it makes sense that why arranged marriages are actually working for them, because it's not even based upon if you like this person or not, or if they fine or cute or not. It's about, can they meet the need, right? Are they somebody who has wealth to take care of our family, because y'all gonna have children, and you know what I'm saying, am I gonna be able to perform my duties without having to go out here and work 2 and 3 jobs with you, so that way nobody's taking care of the kids. So that makes so much sense. That's a good point that you added there, Ed, because we don't think about that. We just think about, okay, well, I'm 50-50. That's your half, this my half. But we should think of it as a team effort. And that's what I think arranged marriages will bring about. You actually probably won't even have much infidelity because, once you only been with one person, you're not really trying to sleep around with somebody else. And then you don't have a comparison. Like you can't compare, like, oh, they were so much better in the bed than you were. You don't have that comparison because you haven't been with anybody else. You haven't, you know what I'm saying? This is the only person you've been with. And then you still get to enjoy that honeymoon stage just like you would in a normal relationship, just like you would if you were, with somebody, just meeting them for the first time. But now you're married and it's a commitment there. So I think it works great for both parties. I didn't think this would be a like a hot topic, I know, because arranged marriages are not what people want. And there's a difference between forced and arranged marriages. Now, they have forced marriages where you have no say at all about anything that's done. You just go ahead and get married to whoever your parents or family pick out. But arranged marriages isn't that. So I've read that they have arranged marriages where you can actually say, okay, no, I'm not feeling them. So you do have some type of choice in if you want to get married or not. They don't just hook you up and say, okay, now this is your husband, this is your wife, go about your day. So it's definitely something we should think about. I think as Black people, we should definitely look into it. I know it probably won't work as well now because the family is just so torn down. We don't have a lot of fathers, we don't have a lot of mothers, we don't have, everybody's just so split and divided. And so it's like it's hard to even put things back in order. But I think we have to start somewhere. So if my kids are okay with it, I'll pick out their spouses for them. And hey, we'll go from there if they're fine with it. I mean, Eb, you said that you'll pick out your daughter's husband, right? No, I don't know what you said, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I've been doing a lot of talking this episode. What do you guys think? Hey, Tiana. So would you like your mother to pick out your husband for you? Okay, Eb, you said you will. Okay, so we got more people looking to pick out their spouses for their kids. I know, look, I mean, because your parents, they already have experience, they know what they're looking for. You, on the other hand, you're just getting into this. So you really don't know what you're looking for. So I think that's a good idea. And I mean, I when I did the post yesterday, a lot of people said arranged marriages were something that they were looking into. That some people, it was like 50-50. So a lot of people said yes. Some men said no, more men said yes than women. But some people said no. But I think most people didn't even understand what an arranged marriage was. They just thought, they like, what is that? I'm like, well, it's just when your parents and your family pick out who you marry. They're like, oh no, I'm okay. But, normally most of the time when you marry, it's not just for they say marry for love, but you don't, what I'm saying? If you're just marrying that person, right? They're not marrying for love. Arranged marriages are not married for love because they're just meeting the person, but they're marrying them. As soon as they, meet them or whatever, they've met them one time and they're getting married. So they can't be in love, right? So they're not really marrying for love, but eventually love comes because love is a form of duty, right? Love is action, meaning love is what are you doing for this person, right? Are you respecting them? Is the wife submitting? That's love. Your duty is what love is, and so that comes later on in the relationship. I have a text message that not text message, but it was something on Facebook that I screenshotted, and I thought it was so good. I'm gonna read it to you guys. So you guys can hear it. And if you're on, if do you agree with arranged marriages? That's what we're talking about at this point at this time. Do you agree with arranged marriages? Do you think you're going to arrange your children's marriages, or will they not have it? Because some kids gonna be like, nope. I ain't heard from Tiana yet to see if she want her marriage arranged. Okay, hold on, y'all. Okay, so here it is. This was on Facebook, and it was just crazy. It was talking about relationships lasting. And this is what they said. They said, I guess our parents stayed together because they didn't have 7,000 other people following them or liking their post at their disposal when their marriage or relationship got hard. Nowadays, when our relationship hits the rocks, we just log on Facebook and get high off the false sense of security and appreciation. We value our worth based on comments and inbox messages filled with colorful words that have no depth. Meanwhile, the person that loves you when there is no filter on your face becomes an option, and the rest of the world just sees your representation becomes a priority. Don't lose what's real chasing behind what appears to be. Wow, that was good, y'all. I hope y'all heard that. I hope y'all heard that. That was so good. The way they said it, like it not social media. And I think that's another reason why marriages aren't lasting. Social media. And I'm not saying that social media can break up a marriage, but you got to understand, like this person was saying, most time if you don't feel value, what do? Run to social media. You can get likes and you can get somebody telling you fine or pretty, or they can tell you all this good stuff, and now you like, okay, I don't need him. He don't got to tell me I look good. Because social media just told me, oh, I got all these men in my DM or these women in my DM. Oh, I don't need my wife no more. She don't got to give me affirmations, or what I'm saying. And so this is what social media has created, a false sense of hope. And I think, I guess I'll post it because hey Steve, you said you need a copy of that quote. Okay, yep. And it was a status somebody posted. I don't even know who posted it no more because I shared it, but I thought it was so good. I'll post it in the comments. But yeah, I think that's another reason why the marriages aren't lasting is because of social media. Social media and I know we cannot blame social media. I don't blame social media. However, you gotta understand it's tempting, you know what I'm saying? Not really, I'm not tempted by it, but I'm just saying, like, men, all they're doing is looking at, butts all day or twerking all day. Like, and then they reflect that upon their women, like, okay, why you ain't doing that? What? Ain't nobody know, video vixen, but it just creates unrealistic expectations for both parties. Then you got other quotes and talking about them, oh, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And I just think it just makes a battle into everything. And our grandparents didn't have to worry about with social media. They didn't have social media. So their relationships were able to last longer. And I'm not blaming social media because I know people always say, oh, you can't blame social media for what your spouse is doing. They're responsible for themselves. They are. You know what I'm saying? They are responsible for themselves. But again, that's playing a factor in why relationships aren't lasting. If you get mad at your spouse, can't you go on there and just make a post that you're mad? Don't you sometimes vent? I really don't vent, but on there, I've learned my lesson. But you know what I'm saying? You've seen where things get out of hand, where a woman's mad at her husband or man, or the man's mad, and they go on there and post something just to vent because they want others' approval. They want somebody else to comment on their relationship, and that's wrong. And it creates a division in your marriage. But we didn't have this back in the day, right? Grandmas and grandparents, they didn't have this type of stuff going on, but now we have it. So we have to understand or kind of figure out how can we make our marriages work now, even with social media. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think we can do to, I guess, still promote healthy marriages and make them last, even with the social media age, right? Because it's just so much on there. Pornography, like it's just so much stuff like on here. Side chicks and side brother husbands. I don't know. Y'all quiet, but I don't know. I just think that you should always think like, if you don't want it done to you, don't do it to your spouse, right? If you don't want your man or your woman to be in somebody else's DM, don't be in other people's DM, or don't allow them to be in yours. You got to really have boundaries, I believe, with social media, because although it's just a platform, it's not even real. We a lot of times feel like social media is more real than our own families, than our own, you know what I'm saying? And so we really got to understand that social media isn't real. It's a platform to make money. It's a platform to connect, and that's it. Don't let it come before your spouse, or don't let it come before, you know, your man or woman, because they're going to still be there at the end of the day in real life when you really want someone to be around you, while social media is just going to, give you depression. And they did a study. This is like a while back, before I even gave my daughter a phone. I found out about this and I was mad I gave her a phone, because the study said that on Instagram, girls who get on Instagram at like 12 years old, they have a lot of depression or so. It's like the way Instagram was set up, it was set up to make girls like insecure about themselves and be depressed. It's really crazy. But that's what they said. And I see now, because now you see a lot of girls suiciding. They don't think they're good enough for things. They're always competing and trying to be something that they're not. So social media is what is doing to us. It's making us compare things that we don't need to compare. We might have it good at home, but because we get on social media and we scroll and like, oh, they got it better. I want their life, or I feel like my life isn't good anymore. And we shouldn't do that. But I'm gonna post this quote under my in here, or Steve, I could send it to you if you want, and so you can share it, or however. But that's all my spill is today on why I believe marriages aren't lasting. Just to recap, I believe marriages aren't lasting just because there's a lack of commitment. We have social media, we have a lot of distractions. We don't take our responsibilities serious as being a husband or being a wife. We just feel like, you know what, if this doesn't work, we'll pull it off like a shoe and we'll go to something else. We have no commitment inside of us. And that's really one of the a big issue of why marriages aren't working, because our grandparents and great grandparents, they knew, like, listen, this is it. If it don't work, that's it. Ain't nothing else we could do. We just got to fight it out. And we don't have that fight in us anymore, because it's just so easy to get a divorce nowadays. Um, but that is all I have for you guys today. I really hope you got something out of it. Heart of the Matter podcast. feel free to share this, like, subscribe on Heart of the Matter podcast on YouTube if you found this information to be informative. Okay, guys. So next week we're gonna probably be discussing, I don't know, polygamy. We may discuss polygamy and having more than one wife if that's an option, or we may be discussing something else, another topic that I was given. So I will see you guys on next week. And thank you so much for joining Heart of the Matter podcast. And that's all I got. See you guys later. Good night.